Topic 4, probability. In this unit, we'll be learning how to calculate the probability of an event. We'll be able to calculate the probability that an event will not happen. We'll design and use a possibility space diagram, and we'll calculate the number of times an event is likely to occur. And this is called the expected frequency. So we've looked at probability in the past, probably back in primary school, and a lot of some of the words that we associated with probability are things like chance, maybe an even chance, no chance, likely, impossible, certain. But what we'll be looking at here is we'll be putting probabilities within a range between 0 and 1. So if we think of a scale from 0 up to 1, 0 would be an impossible chance, 1 would be certain. In the middle, at 0.5, would be an even chance. In between even and certain, it would be likely to occur. And between impossible and even, you'd be thinking that the events would be unlikely to occur. The way we work out probability then, to get it into a number rather than just thinking about it in terms of words, we use the formula that the probability of an event, whatever that happens to be, is going to be the number of chances of success divided by the total number of possibilities. Or another way we can write that is the P of A, so capital P brackets capital A, so that's the probability of this event A. It's going to be the number of ways A can occur divided by the total number of outcomes. So similarly, if we were looking at the probability of B, that would be the number of B divided by the total number of outcomes. We could have the probability of C, the probability of whatever. Now what we said was that the range of probabilities lies between 0 and 1, and we can give these as fractions, decimals, or percentages because they are all interchangeable. But I suppose decimals or fractions are the most common. So let's look at the examples. So example 1, a bag contains 2 red, 3 blue and 5 green counters. A counter is chosen at random. What is the probability that it's red? So if we said R is going to represent red, what we're looking for is the probability of R, and that's going to equal the number of R divided by the total number. The number of red counters, well, we can see that's 2, and we're dividing by the total number. So we knew that there were 2 red, 3 blue and 5 green. Altogether, that's 10. So the probability is 2 out of 10, or 1 over 5. And 1 over 5 is fine to leave it in that. You could change it into a decimal, and that would be 0.2, and it could also be 20%. But 1/5 is fine. So in the second example then, we're looking at in the same bag, what's the probability of blue or green? So B is going to represent blue, G is going to represent green. So we're looking at the probability of blue or green, which is going to be the number of blue or green divided by the total number. There were 3 blue and 5 green. So the number of blue or green are going to be 3 plus 5. And there was 10 to begin with, so there's out of 10. So that's 8 out of 10, which simplifies to 4 over 5. And again, you could express that as 0.8 or 80%. 4.2, calculate the probability that an event will not happen. So the total of all possible outcomes of should equal 1. So in order to calculate the probability that an event will not happen, we do 1 minus the probability of the event happening. So if we kind of think about that logically, so events will either happen or they won't happen, and there's no other chance in between. So the chances that it will rain, so it will either rain or it won't rain. There are no other options in between. So the probability of rain, if that was the probability of rain was 0.3, then the probability that it won't rain would be 0.7, because they must add up together to give 1, because anything else is impossible. It's either going to be rain or it's not going to rain. Of that we are certain, which means the probabilities add to 1, and anything else is impossible. So this example, the probability that it will rain is 0.4, the probability that it will snow is 0.1, and the probability that it's sunny is 0.3. What is the probability that it will not snow? Well, if S represented snow, the probability of snow is 0.1. So the probability of no snow is going to be 1 minus the probability of snow, which is 1 minus 0.1, which is 0.9. So the probability that it will not snow is 0.9. Again, either it will snow or it won't snow. There's no other options, so they must add up to 1. Example 2, given the same probabilities as above, what is the probability that it's not sunny? So let's say SU is going to mean sunny. So the probability of sunny is going to equal 0.3. The probability that it's not sunny is going to be 1 minus the probability that it is sunny, which is 1 minus 0.3, which is 0.7. So again, the options are it's either going to be sunny or it's not, and those probabilities have to add up to 1. So then to work out the probability that it's not sunny, it's 1 minus the probability of sunny. Possibility space diagrams are a way in which we use to organise the outcomes of two events. So what we've been looking at up to now is the probability that it's sunny, or the probability of picking a green counter, or picking a letter out of the alphabet. But now what we've got are two different things happening at the same time. So you might be thinking about tossing 2 coins, or rolling 2 dice, or something like that. And what we do is we can use a possibility space diagram, which is essentially this table, and we can list all the different outcomes. So example 1, Tom has a 4-sided spinner and a normal fair dice. The 4 sides are labelled 1, 2, 3 and 4. Tom spins the spinner and rolls the dice. Draw possibility space. So we can see the options are you roll the dice and you get a 1. The options then with that are in the spinner you can either get the 1 or you can get the 2. So you could have a 1 and a 1, or a 1 and a 2. You could have a 1 and a 3, or you could have a 1 and a 4. So that's whenever you roll a 1 on the dice. But we could have rolled a 2 on the dice to begin with, and then we would have the corresponding 1 on a spinner, or we could have had a 2 and a 2, a 2 and a 3, or a 2 and a 4. Or rather than rolling a 1 or a 2, we could have rolled a 3. So we've got a 3 and a 1, a 3 and a 2, a 3 and a 3, or a 3 and a 4. Or a 4 and a 1, a 4 and a 2, a 4 and a 3, and a 4 and a 4. 5 and a 1, 5 and a 2, 5 and a 3, 5 and a 4. And finally you could have rolled a 6 and a 1, a 6 and a 2, 6 and a 3, or a 6 and a 4. Now we can use that probability, or use the possibility space to work out probabilities. So what we're asked for, what's the probability that both numbers are the same? So we're going to have the probability of the same is going to equal the number that are the same divided by the total number. Now we can see that there are 24 numbers in total, 24 different combinations, and the probabilities that they are the same are going to come from a 1 and a 1, or a 2 and a 2, a 3 and a 3, or a 4 and a 4. So that gives us 4 different possible outcomes, and 4 over 24 simplifies to 1 over 6. Part C, what is the probability that both numbers add up to 5? So the probability that they add to 5 is equal to the number that add to 5 divided by the total number. So that's out of 24, and we need to see how many add together to give 5. So you could have a 4 and a 1, or you could have a 3 and a 2, or you could have had a 2 and a 3, or a 1 and a 4. So everything above these red highlighted scores will be less than 5. So the 3 and the 1, the 2 and the 2, the 1 and the 3, they add up together to give 4. These add up together to give 2 or 3, and these add up together to give 2. And everything below the red line, they add together to give more than 5. So what we've established then, that there are 4 different ways of getting a 5. So 4 out of 24 again simplifies to 1 over 6. Example 2, 2 normal dice are thrown and their scores are totaled. Draw a possibility space diagram and hence find the probabilities that the score is greater than 8. So possibility space diagram, we're going to draw a grid for this and show all the different options. So on dice 1 we can get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5 and a 6. On dice 2 we can get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5 and a 6. Now since we're adding the 2 dice, the score on each dice, we can do it in this way, complete the table in this way. So if we rolled a 1 and a 1, that would give a score of 2. A 1 and a 2 would give a score of 3. A 1 and a 3 would give a score of 4. A 1 and a 4 would give a 5. 1 and a 5 would give a 6, and a 1 and a 6 would give a 7. 2 and a 1 would give a 3. 2 and a 2 would give a 4, up until we get the table completed. So then the 6 and the 5 is an 11, the 6 and 6 is 12. And what we were looking for here was the probability that it was greater than 8. So that's going to be the number that are greater than 8 over the total number. So let's see how many are bigger than 8. So we've got 9, 9, 9, 9. We'll have 3 10s, 2 11s, and 1 12. We don't look at the 8s because it's greater than 8. So that gave us a total of 10 out of 36, which simplifies to 5 over 18. So the probability of a score of greater than 8 is 5/18. Relative and expected frequency then. So what we know is we know how to work out the probability. We know how to draw a possibility space diagram to figure all the different combinations. And we know that the probability of an event not happening is 1 minus the probability of it happening. But relative and expected frequency is how many times you would think something should happen. So the expected frequency is the relative frequency. So relative frequency is very similar to probability. It's whenever we do an experiment, whether it's tossing a coin or rolling a dice, the number of outcomes we have for that is the relative frequency. And then we multiply it by the number of trials. Now the expected frequency, if we're asked for that, we get a number. We don't leave the answer as a fraction. So it might be doing an experiment 1,000 times. We don't put the expected frequency out of 1,000. We just give it as the number of times that it will occur. So the expected frequency is going to be a number bigger than 1. So how many times would you expect to get a 4 if a normal dice is rolling 30 times? So what we know is that the probability of a 4 is 1 over 6. So the expected number that we would get is going to be 1/6 multiplied by 30. So we're multiplying the probability, or the relative frequency, by the number of trials. And a sixth multiplied by 30 is the same as 30 divided by 6. So it's 5. So what we would expect is 5 4s when we roll a dice 30 times. Example 2, a fair coin is flipped 500 times. How many times would you expect? How many tails would you expect to see? So the probability of a tail is 1/2. So the expected number is going to be the relative frequency, or the probability, which is 1/2, multiplied by the number of trials. So we're doing this 500 times. So 1/2 of 500 is 250. So we'd expect to see 250 tails, and we'd expect to see 250 heads.